Hi, my name is Rwanda. Among the things I do in life is telling stories. And I'm about to share a beautiful story of Pan-Africanism. From Africa to the Caribbean, from Rwanda to Jamaica.
The Honorable Thomas Tevez Finson, President of the Senate, the Honorable Marisa Dorempo Filbert, Speaker of the House of Representatives, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister, the Honorable Mark Golding, Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Senators and Members of Parliament, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I feel great honor to be standing before you today to address a joint sitting of the Houses of Parliament of Jamaica. I thank the Parliament of Jamaica for this distinction. Yesterday, I paid tribute to Marcus Garvey at National Heroes Park. More than 100 years ago, he envisioned a united Africa for the Africans of the world. It is no accident that the idea of African unity arose from this very island. Among the descendants of those who had been forcibly separated from their ancestral homeland, the pain of disunity and contempt was deeply felt. The ideas championed by Garvey and many others on both sides of the Atlantic Ocean reverberated in Africa as well. From the struggle for independence to the subsequent challenges of nation building, the Pan-African ideal has served as a guide for how things should be, even if we do not always live up to it. I have a simple message to share today. We are not strangers to one another. In our diversity, we share common traits. Our peoples are resilient, creative, and, as our common history shows, also indestructible. As Rwanda, we are also keen to cooperate with Jamaica much more closely and share experiences in trade and investment, as well as national unity and citizen development.
When last year Jamaica was struck by one of the most devastating hurricanes in decades, Hurricane Melissa, the destruction was widespread. Homes got damaged, communities disrupted, infrastructure severely affected. But in the aftermath, support began to arrive. And among those who responded, there was Rwanda, a small country thousands of miles away. An army crossing oceans to assist in recovery. But why? How did that come? Well, a unit of the Rwandan Defense Force Engineer Command, the RDF, that one was deployed, and their mission to support the rehabilitation of infrastructure and rebuild homes for the most vulnerable. And you know what? That was not an isolated act. It was part of something much larger. But to understand that response, you have to go back, way back in time. So allow me to go way back in time with you. In 1990, a struggle began, led by the Rwandan Patriotic Front, the RPF, and its armed wing, the Rwandan Patriotic Army, RPA. It was actually not only a war, it was the beginning of a transformation. Because those who took up arms were Rwandans, many born in exile, but others forced into it at very young age. And for decades, they had been denied the right to return to their own country. Not because for what they had done, but because of what they were. And this war became their last resort, not only to reclaim a homeland, but to restore a nation.
Msingi wa chama ndio litakuwa msingi wa mabadiliko ambao atakuwepo kwa nchi yetu hii. Na kwa hivyo wazi ni mpaka kila mmoja wenu azingatie jambo la siasa ambalo limetufanya sisi tukamate silaha tupigane. Na kwa hivyo maana yake ni mpaka sisi vitendo vyetu, mawazo yetu lazima kila wakati vitutofautishe na wale ambao tunapigana nao.
In those words, that the conduct needed to be exemplary, a standard was set. That this army would not only fight, but define the future of a nation. That conduct would matter as much as victory. When the genocide was stopped, Rwanda faced the task of rebuilding from the deepest devastation. And those who had fought became those who rebuilt. From that origin emerged the Rwandan Defense Force, the RDF, a force shaped not only by conflict, but by reconstruction. It protects, but it also builds. It supports communities, extending access to essential services, reaching those most in need. In Jamaica, that same approach took form. And when I arrived, the mission was already underway. I just dove straight into it. I was welcomed by the Rwandan Defense Force, who had organized immediately a briefing with their counterpart from the JDF, Jamaican Defense Force. And the joint briefing by the Rwandan officers and the counterparts from the Jamaican Defense Force gave me my first complete understanding of the mission. Because until then, I had only seen the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa. But now, I began to understand the response. So the Jamaican authorities at first assessed the damage across the affected areas. And they had identified the families whose homes required urgent intervention and shared those priorities with the Rwandan contingent.
The challenges that we faced as RDF are not the challenges that could stop us from working. Nevertheless, one, as you saw on the map, those places that we intervened, they were sparsely situated. That is one. Two, we had to cover very long distances. In that it took us just movement 4 hours going and coming back. So if 4 hours you've spent them just on the road, then the rest of the day remains relatively smaller for the work. Otherwise, we did, and we worked amidst.
So practically, so you do the recce, and you say, okay, we're gonna take on this place now, tomorrow. So you know what is needed there. You need maybe some zinc plate or some whatever.
Yeah.
So you know before the comment, you have a report. You know what you need.
Oh yes.
Where do you get the material?
Okay. Now the materials were mobilized by the government of Jamaica.
So you would request. You say we need this, and this.
Because they had done the preliminary work.
Okay.
They had come up with the unestimated requirements.
Okay.
So for them, they could bring them to an area that is closer to us here.
Okay.
So there's the preliminary work was done by the Ministry of Labor, identifying number of houses affected and the approximated materials that were required.
A reconnaissance team first assessed each site, and then the engineers would determine what was required, prepare the material, and assign responsibilities and plan every stage of the work. The objective was remarkably ambitious because, whenever possible, each project would be completed within 48 hours, just 2 days, on site. And families knew in advance what would happen. In the most difficult cases, they were asked to leave temporarily, but only to return 2 days later to homes that had become safe, secure, and habitable once again. And then came the school. Once damaged, but now restored. Student back in class, and learning resumed. For many, this presence was unexpected, but it was real, visible, immediate.
It's the slowest hurricane that they have ever seen. It was moving almost like just 1 mile or less than a mile per hour. The others would have been very fast. Right. So it was just lingering very slowly. And we could see that at home. We could see that at home because it was like it was just there, not ending hours upon hours upon hours, because it was like all through the day, all through the night. And of course, where I live, I believe that we were right in the eye of the storm, because at about 5 p.m. on Tuesday, we went through a period of calm that people came out of their houses, went on their roofs to see if they could nail down some things that started moving. And then within about 40 minutes, it came back from the other direction. And so we had to run back inside, and it was there for the most of the night. The school had a lot of damage. We had damage of main infrastructure. We had a lot of damage to our resources. We had a lot of damage to just basic property, and even our farm and school farm and all of those things, and our produce. Everything we would have lost during the hurricane, because we do have some level of sufficiency as it relates to our food security, because we have chickens, we have cash crops like lettuce and those little things that we do on our farm. Those things would have been completely destroyed. So along with the physical building or the infrastructure, we also lost roofs. We lost up to maybe 30 odd computers that would have been damaged when the roofs went. We lost many other things, projectors. I think it was 35 computers that we had in that lab. So when the roof went, everything was exposed, and so we lost all of those.
And I guess if you have the computers, but also they are connected and all that. So the whole wiring and all that.
Yeah, all electrical work, everything. Electrical work, welding, because I mean, I had a conversation with the plant manager where I was saying to him, but Mr. Marks, how did they make this building and they didn't put it's like a U-shaped iron like this? And I was saying, how they didn't make it with the iron on it? And he said, yes, miss. I said, but I don't see any on it. And he said to me, miss, it's over the bush over there. I could not imagine that the hurricane could lift that and take it across over a fence, and over onto another neighboring property. I am still trying to figure and fathom how that happened. No, it was literally lifted and taken to another space. Believe me, I am past grateful in terms of what I have seen. The soldiers through under the leadership of Colonel Kaigamba do to restore the container. They left no stone unturned to ensure that the facility was properly repaired and done in such a way that I can tell you that the quality now is even better than it was before. And there was no rush to do the thing. It was done quickly, but it was done in a manner that was properly done and safely done. And so we are at a point where I'm extremely comfortable with everything with the container and in regards to the safety and security of our staff and students who will use it. So I don't know if that question is coming up shortly, but I just want to inject right here that on behalf of every single member of our school community, we want to extend thanks to the JDF and more so to the team from Rwanda who came and assisted us in our time of need. And what I want to also point out is that the help was so quick, it was so effective, because we are still waiting for the repairs to start, but within days we had the container repaired and ready, and we have been able to move the students back into the space. And it is, as I said, highly effective and even better than we had working. John Fall was the team lead, and he is also very awesome. And well, last boss, we find names for everybody. What's last boss's name again?
So
Gabo.
So you had nicknames for it.
Yes.
Of the RDA.
Yes. That just goes to show that the level of camaraderie and the kind and the warm relationship that we shared. They know most people. They know quite a number of persons on staff, and people constantly engage and interact with them. So, it
ended up to be one family.
One big happy family. I was coming up the steps just now, and a teacher said to me, Miss, can we look at getting a team to go and visit Rwanda? We want to see what it is like. So I said, well, all it takes is a conversation and some planning to get it done. Because the truth is, we as Jamaicans, or you refer to us as in the diaspora, we know our ancestry. We know that we are from Africa. This is where it all started. But I think too many of us know too little about where everything all started. Because I think I had this conversation with Moses where I was saying, when I look at you, meaning the Rwandans, you look just like us. If you don't talk and the accent comes out, we don't know. You could just blend in and you look just like how we look. They are not all African nations that have that.
So I arrived in Jamaica during the final phase of the mission. And by then, most of the work had already been completed. And that gave me the opportunity to witness something different. Not the beginning of the reconstruction, but the results. So I could meet families who had already returned home. And I listened to their stories. I saw the quality of the work that had been delivered. Only on 2 sites did I find the engineers still at work. And there I was also able to witness firsthand the precision, organization, and teamwork that had characterized the mission from the beginning. The rest of my journey took me from one completed project to another. Different communities, different families, but everywhere, the same relief, the same gratitude. Again and again, people welcomed the soldiers back. Not because work still had to be done, but simply to thank them. There were conversations, smiles, laughter, sometimes quiet tears.
Okay, after the hurricane, now I come the whole place like she sit there for 3 days and 3 nights.
Right.
Okay, but when the soldier them come and start take off the roof, oh my God, they did a good job. I recommend them to anything more than 1,000,000 times. They work so fast and they are so friendly.
The Rwanda Defensive Force for putting on my farm roof, which was millions, man. Oh God, man. I can't thank you guys so much for your wonderful job in one day. Oh my God, man. Melissa, I wish you never returned, but you guys did a great job.
We say thank you, God, for sending people here. Because without them, right now, I'm not saying anything. And without you people, but, man, them man is very clever.
Yeah?
Very clever because it's 2 houses.
Yes. Okay.
And you can imagine.
Okay.
They take 1 day
Yes.
and complete everything.
1 day?
1 day.
So 1 day they came
And do and complete everything. And that's 1 drop of water. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Very active.
Thank you.
Rwanda.
All of here was all gone. Here was all gone. All gone. Here was all gone. Here, all gone. Whoa, I'm overwhelmed. Yeah. So my time when I wake up, I was wondering if this is real. Yeah, I wonder if this is real. So I have to pinch myself, say this is real. But I've come to it now that it's reality. Yeah, so I want to tell the president of Rwanda, thanks, and the people there, thanks for coming here. I got to understand, you have been around a lot of places, fixing houses in Jamaica. And I know that everyone, all Jamaican here is very much appreciating all what you have done. Yes, for the people of Jamaica. Yes, so thank you very much, President.
Hello, it's a good feeling. I want to thank the Jamaican Defense Force and the Rwanda Defense Force for this lovely roof. We could not afford it.
They did a wonderful job, man.
Right.
Yes, we praise them and we thank God for them to come to Jamaica to help us in all the work they did.
Right.
Yes, we were glad to see they come here. Yes, and they did a wonderful job.
Many told me they had never imagined that the people helping rebuild their homes had come from Africa. For some, this was their very first encounter with Rwanda. Well, the houses they rebuilt will one day need painting again. Roofs will eventually need replacing, and the walls will age. But the memory of how those homes were rebuilt and by whom may last far longer. What they remembered was not a speech, not a political statement, but an act of solidarity. An army that had crossed an ocean to help complete strangers rebuild their lives. And it was there, moving from one restored home to another, listening to those families, that something became clear to me. What I was witnessing in Jamaica was not simply an overseas humanitarian mission. It was the living expression of values forged decades earlier during Rwanda's own struggle to rebuild the nation. Values that demanded discipline before victory, justice before revenge, service before recognition. Perhaps that is why the mission felt so natural to those carrying it out. For them, rebuilding lives was not separate from defending them. It was part of the same calling, the core of the Rwandan Defense Force. As the mission drew to a close, one final engagement remained. The commanding officer, with his deputy, and Rwanda's defense attaché at the permanent mission of the Republic of Rwanda to the United Nations, was invited to the headquarters of the Jamaican Defense Force. There, they were received by the Chief of the Defense Staff for a final courtesy call. But it was more than a formal meeting. It was an opportunity for Jamaica's highest military authority to convey her appreciation for a mission successfully completed and to acknowledge the professionalism, discipline, and commitment demonstrated by the Rwandan contingent throughout its deployment.
Rwanda, your president, the commitment, the very early commitment and the size of the commitment he made to send troops here to support us, I actually could not absorb. In the face of such a disaster, I had to understand, I had to assess how much aid can we take at a time, and understanding that this transition into making persons' lives a little better by replacing roofs and bringing back some level of dignity to their surroundings would require materials. It would require transportation to get persons to these locations. It required us to bring the road networks back to some level of operability, and so we had to slow down the wave and the rapid response that we received from your country and your president and your defense force. Fast forward to when they have arrived. I get a daily report, of course, on how we're progressing. And I made it my point of duty to ensure that I go to visit the different contingents that were in country. And before I even arrived where Rwandan troops were deployed, my reports were very, these troops are so committed, they're so efficient, they're so professional. And when I got on the ground, that was validated by the Jamaican citizens, the average citizens who were receiving the support from Colonel Kagame and his troop. It really, I think in fact, if I look back on our social media, those posts that we did in that period, and particularly that visit that I did, has received a significant amount of comments and positive feedback in regards to what they have done. And it really does underscores how humanity can choose the positive things. And when we do good to each other, when we treat each other as friends and family, what we can achieve. And that was just strongly demonstrated in the way that the Rwandan forces have turned up, have committed. When I visited, Colonel said, we could do much more if we had more materials and if the transportation was more. And we did our best to try and increase that. But we certainly could not have given the response to the persons affected at the pace and at the standard that we were able to do with the engineering task force had we not had the support of the Rwandan forces.
The mission had achieved its purpose. And it was now time for redeployment at home. The journey back to Rwanda marked the end of the deployment. The mission in Jamaica was complete, yet one final chapter remained. And as the aircraft touched down in Kigali, the contingent was welcomed home with military honors. And on behalf of the Chief of the Defense Staff, it was the Chief of Staff of the Reserve Force who received the returning Engineer Command Unit. He congratulated them on a mission successfully accomplished. He commended them, their professionalism, their discipline, and the quality of the work they had delivered. Their service, he told them, had reflected positively on Rwanda. Their commitment had been recognized far beyond the construction sites where they had worked. It had been seen by the people of Jamaica. It had been acknowledged by the military counterparts. It had been followed by audiences back home and throughout the world. And it had made Rwanda proud. As the ceremony came to an end, the soldiers gathered together in song. For them, it was more than a tradition. It was a moment of shared purpose. A reminder that service does not end when a mission is completed. It continues wherever duty calls. Watching them, I found myself thinking back to the words spoken during the Liberation War, more than 3 decades earlier, that this army would become the foundation of a new Rwanda. The uniforms had changed, the battlefields had changed, the mission itself had changed, but the values had endured. Forged in Rwanda, carried across an ocean, returned home with honor. Mission accomplished.
Before I even arrived where Rwandan troops were deployed, my reports were very, these troops are so committed, they are so efficient, they are so professional. We certainly could not have given the response to the persons affected at the pace and at the standard that we were able to do with the engineering task force had we not had the support of the Rwandan forces. They're absolutely not going to forget that a soldier from a country called Rwanda put a roof back onto my house after this devastating hurricane passed.
Yes, Mr. President, we are so happy for you and your soldiers, for the help that you guys gave us and the love that you showed. One love, one heart, one destiny, right?
And the president of Rwanda, I want to thank him. I heard that he's an Arsenal supporter. And you notice I have on my Arsenal shirt that says visit Rwanda. Hopefully, I hope I will be able to visit Rwanda one day.